All right. Good morning. Good afternoon, Center for Spiritual Living and friends all over the place, wherever you are. It's Reverend Charles. Really good to be with you this morning. As most of you already know, I'm the associate minister at our beloved Center for Spiritual Living Palm Desert. And today launches a new segment in our daily program where it's me getting to know you and you getting to know me. And have some fun. So on Fridays, this is what the format's going to be. I'm just going to be here and share some stories about my life, share interesting facts about me. The idea on Fridays, what I want to have is an opportunity for you to get to know me better as the associate minister. And if you're not officially a part of Center for Spiritual Living Palm Desert, we can still have interactions. And, I've got my Science of Mind book right here. I've got other books that I'll be sharing some things from, but the idea is for us to really get to know each other better. And so I'm actually counting on you on Fridays going forward over the course of the summer. I'm counting on you to help me make this show. I want you to ask me questions, share interesting facts about yourself if you want to, but just having Fridays be an opportunity for us to informally just get to know each other. I get to be in the safety of my own home. You do too, or wherever you are. But just have it to be an informal hang and share some things. And like I said, get to know each other. So I'm calling Fridays Life on Love with Charles Hall. Fridays through the summer is Life on Love with Charles Hall. And just to like we're in the living room together hanging out, sipping a hot cocoa or a glass of wine or a cup of juice, whatever your flavor is, just like we're sitting there having tea, getting to know each other, but we're doing it in this format. So please spread the word. Please share with people. I don't necessarily want to make it about me. I want to make it about us, but I want to share some things with you so that you can get to know me better and just have some fun. So Fridays is Life on Love. And again, I just want to say to you again, please interact to help me make this show. And we'll go as long as we will and see what happens. We'll try some different things. Maybe I'll have some surprise guests pop on from time to time and share some stories and have some fun. But the idea is, again, just to have it be an informal Friday, sharing some things, getting to know each other, et cetera, et cetera. So first thing I want to share with you, I've kind of gathered some things to let you know about my life a little bit. So I want to introduce you to a family member. Yes, you're going to think I'm crazy. And you know what? I am crazy, but I'm crazy in a good way. This is Sasha. Rawr. And these are sharp teeth. I got Sasha. Sasha's been with me for almost 20 years now. I picked up Sasha on Venice Beach in 2002 when I moved to, maybe it was 2003, when I moved to Los Angeles when I worked at Agape many years ago. And Sasha's been with me ever since. So I saw Sasha on the beach, bought her, and she's been with me ever since. So when my daughter and Julio were down here a couple of months ago, my daughter was FaceTiming with one of her friends or Zooming, whatever they were doing. They're hanging out and having a good time. And my daughter loves Sasha. Look at Sasha's a big old stuffed animal. You know what I'm saying? So what little kid doesn't love stuffed animals, especially my daughter? She loves her stuffies. So she built a fort and she's FaceTiming with her friend inside of the fort, and she brought Sasha in there inside of her fort to hang out with her. And her friend says, who is that? What is that? And my daughter just says, well, that's Sasha. Sasha's a member of our family. Really, Daddy loves Sasha a lot. And so, Sasha's like my sister, and Sasha's been in the family for a long time. So anyway, why Sasha? I love tigers. I always have. Since I was a little boy, I've loved tigers. There's something about their elegance, the power. If you've seen a video of them kind of walking and prancing through the jungle, there's just an elegance and a majesty and a mystery, like a mysticism about them. Private, ferocious and awesome. So I've got pictures of tigers up around my house in various places to remind me of exactly those qualities and attributes that I just mentioned of actually things I seek to embody and to express. Um, Power, personal power, living in my own majesty, um, elegance, being tactful, um, and just crazy and wild too. So that's Sasha, my, my little girl, not so little anymore. So again, I hope you can find the comment button someplace. Let's ask questions. Let's get to know each other. Let's have some fun. So speaking of my daughter, here's another thing that I took. This is one of the pictures that I'm most proud of that I took. And I know I talk about my daughter a lot, but she's the light of my life. She's my little love. So she wasn't even a year in this picture, maybe 6 months, 8 months, something like that. We were outside of our house in Seattle, the house that she was born into. And we were, and yes, I've got the rag, I'm sweating. I just can't help it. It's the way it is, even with the air conditioning on. Just happens sometimes. We're playing out in front of our house, and it's a beautiful, you'll see in the picture, it's a beautiful, beautiful summer day in Seattle. And I snapped this picture and I'm like, whoa, I've got some game. Look at that. So anyway, this picture here, can you see that? I think you can. I took that picture. Isn't that cool? Of my beautiful little girl. So we're just sitting out in the front yard. I mean, look at the joy, and there's bees buzzing around and butterflies flying and things like that. And dandelions, of course, she would love to go find the bright yellow dandelions and go pick at them. And do the head pop off thing. It's a lot of fun. So hey, is anybody out there? If somebody's there, just put in a chat message, just say, hey, we're here and we're having a good time. All right. So let's see, what else do I want to tell you? Oh, this is how romantic my daughter is right here. So this was my Valentine's Day card from my daughter. And it's velvety and it's got stars on the front, and it says, I love you more than all the stars. And then she knows I love, it's another thing, I love Reese's peanut butter cups. So she's big old peanut butter. She put some peanut butter cups, like a whole bag of peanut butter cups, in my Valentine's Day gift. So that was cool. So what kind of start are we off to here? How are we doing? Life on Love with Charles Hall. So let me tell you a little bit more about me. How did I get into the ministry? I'll share that with you. I think I've said I felt sensitive to something, to life, to the presence my entire life. And that kind of just translated over the course of time, over the course of when I was a kid, and then growing up and just feeling sensitive to something, so heartful, sensitive to something. And I thought for a long time that sensitive was a bad thing, until I discovered that sensitive is a really good thing, and with some skills that could come along with it. Maybe someone out there can relate how good it is to be sensitive in your heart, but also have some skills to be able to navigate a world where you feel so much, and you don't want to take it on, like you just don't want to become encumbered by it. You want to live your own life, but you're sensitive to the feelings, kind of the prevailing consciousness of things that are going on out there. And it just translated into, I remember having a conversation. We had these things called encounter retreats when I was in high school. I went to an all boys Catholic high school called O'Day on Capitol Hill in Seattle. And the juniors and seniors, at some point, your junior or senior year, would go on this thing called an encounter retreat. And it's basically to go away with a portion of either the junior or senior class or a mixture, and commune and just be with each other, get to know each other better, do some prayers, have some fun. And one of the things we did during that time was face-to-face confession. Now, confession growing up, for me, growing up Catholic, confession was a chore. It was a task. I think I've shared with you that I'd go into confession and make things up to confess about, because confession is just something that you do. So I'd go in there, and my confession was always the same. I was mean to my sister. I used a curse word. I ate candy when I wasn't supposed, things like this. That's pretty small time, really, when it comes to the things, the things we're up to in life, and the sins that I've committed since then. That's for another show on a different platform. Anyway, um, so on the encounter retreat, we go to this thing called through face-to-face confession. And so I think I went in my senior year, and I was talking with the priest, and I said I'm conflicted. I grew up Catholic, baptized, First Communion, kind of the whole gamut of the ritual and the things that you do as a Catholic. And my mom found the religious science church when I was 8 years old, so I was doing both at the same time. Growing up Catholic, went to Catholic grade school, went to Catholic high school, uh, and so here I am, my senior year, but also, excuse me, growing up, going to teen camps or youth camps through what was then the Seattle Church of Religious Science. So I had this crazy dance going on inside of me. I loved my friends and the experience that I was having through the Church of Religious Science. Of course, this is before it was called Centers for Spiritual Living, way before. I was having a lot of fun with my friends in the youth group, and we do things. We'd go on field trips, during youth church. We'd horse around, and it was just fun and so full of love, and all couched in our message of love and harmony and peace and joy and real relationship and those types of things. And I felt conflicted because I came from a Catholic family, Catholic values, et cetera, et cetera. So back to the encounter retreat. It was my turn to go up for face-to-face confession, and I sat with the priest, and he kind of did the opening blessing and the rites, whatever they are, and he said, "So what do you want to talk about?" And I said, "I'm not really here to confess anything this time, Father. What I want to do is just have a conversation with you about something." And I shared with him, I've got this conflict in my heart. I want to be a good Catholic, and I've been participating in this other church that I love for a long time now, and I don't know what to do. And it's just really been on my heart. And what I knew is that I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't know what to do because of kind of some of the rigidity that came along with being a good Catholic and that type of thing. So I basically shared that with him, and I was nervous. My heart's beating fast. I don't know what he's going to say. Is he going to shut me down? It's like in one, and maybe you can relate to this. In one realm, it's like my heart was open and so full of love and joy and friendship, and then here's my obligation over here. And he simply asked me at the end of this conversation, he said, "Where does it feel like home to you?" And that changed my world. That changed my life. And that one conversation and that one question opened up the door for me where I could really fly into what became ministry eventually, diving deeper into the Church of Religious Science, diving deeper into the study of the teachings of the science of mind and universal spiritual principles, affirmative prayer, all these types of things, starting to read, other authors, even starting to dabble in the Bhagavad Gita and reading some of the stuff of Paramahansa Yogananda. But that conversation changed everything for me. And so I started head on, and I wasn't going to go to a Catholic, private college. That just wasn't in the cards for me. I knew that. So instead, I did a few years of working with the teen ministry, and then going into the Holmes Institute, which is the ministerial school. So I ended up going to a private college, actually down the road. But I remember that, and maybe you remember that too. Is like, can you think of a like one moment or a conversation or a point in your life where it was formative, like a moment that changed the way you perceive yourself in your life, that set you on a particular direction? Tell me about that. If you can think of a moment that really set you up, that like gave you life almost. You know what I'm saying? It gave you life. It gave you your life, your path, your walk. Let's see. We got a few comments in here. Let's see what we've got. But that is a question to you. Can you think of any of those moments? All right, why am I having trouble here? Here we go. Let's see. Okay. Again, nice real shirt. Thank you. Yes, I'm working on putting on real shirts now. I've gotten in trouble for dressing down a little bit, so now I'm bringing my game up. Your genuine earnestness always shows. Thank you so much, Divine Chatter. Having a great time, Confident Creation. Thank you so much. Your daughter is beautiful. Yes, she is. I give Julia credit for that. By the way, that's another story I want to. Let's see, Mystical Habitant. So you mentioned that you love how tigers prance. How often do you prance? From Dr. Joe. Did I say prance? I didn't mean prance. I meant, I don't know, the elegance, the way they creep and crawl. Not prancing. I don't prance. Would you talk about your family situation? Brave One says. I'm confused as to who your daughter's mother is and your relationship. Are they both coming to Palm Desert to live? Yes, they are. And I'm so grateful for that. So I'll share the story with you. I met Julia. Her name's Julia Rosa Emsley. Her side of the family is Mexican. My side's European. I met Julia in the Albuquerque airport when I was going down to facilitate a wedding for some friends of mine at the time. And I lived in Seattle. She lived in Santa Fe. And so myself, my mother, and my camera still on there? I got to get back here. I want to make sure you can see me. My mom and I flew down together, as well as some other friends from our church. And this was a congregant of mine whose wedding I was facilitating, and they chose to have their wedding in Santa Fe. So we got off the plane and we were hooting and hollering. You know, I think there were four or five of us going to the wedding, and we were having such a great time, laughing our way through the terminal, just being crazy. And so Julia was sitting down by the baggage claim, and the Albuquerque airport isn't that big. But we come down the escalators, and I think my mom and our friend Karen were just like carrying on about something. I mean, filling the terminal up with laughter. We were laughing so hard about something. And Julia was sitting down another escalator, waiting for her shuttle. There's a shuttle that goes from the Albuquerque airport to Santa Fe. And so that's the first thing, after we got to know each other, that's the first thing that she'll say that she remembered is, who are these crazy people coming through the terminal at the airport making all of this noise, just laughing hysterically? I think maybe my mom almost fell down the escalator or something. I don't know, not that that's funny, but we found humor in it. I think it was something like that. So then we're all waiting for the shuttle. We get our bags and we're all just kind of in the same area waiting for our shuttle. And it turns out we're on the same shuttle going from Albuquerque to Santa Fe. And so it's an hour ride from Albuquerque to Santa Fe. And I was sitting next to Julia. And so we're just carrying on, just the van was full of people going to this destination wedding. And then there's Julia. And she just held her own. You know, we're carrying on. We're all excited to be on vacation. We're there for a wedding. You know, you get the vibe, the fun, the love. And we were asking her, okay, so, you know, where's the best margarita? What are the local places? You know, good food, et cetera, et cetera. It was my first time to Santa Fe. I think it was my mom's first time too. But for the hour, she just kind of held her own with this van full of crazy people. And at the end of the ride, I said, you know, I want to, you know, let's stay in touch. So, you know, I can, while the time we're here, you know, I can, you know, stay in touch, you know, give us the hot spots and things like that. So that's how we met, in the van. So it became known as the van, right? And so here's what I'm convinced of is that my daughter is here because she caused this all. I swear my daughter caused this whole thing. She caused her path of being here, because there's no other way that this could have unfolded in the way that it did. Absolute miracle. So we stayed in touch. Wedding weekend came, wedding weekend went back to Seattle. We stayed in touch. And then I made a trip back to Santa Fe, and we connected a number of times, and just had just had some good old fashioned fun, just hanging out, getting to know each other, et cetera, et cetera. And Julia's going to kill me for telling the story, and I'm making a long story long, maybe a short story long, that she made me pasta the first time I was down there in Santa Fe. Oh, she's going to hate me for saying this. She spent hours and hours putting together. Julia's a great cook. If you don't know that yet, hopefully at some point you get to find out. She's an extraordinary cook. So she made homemade pasta, and she spent hours and hours doing this, making this whole concoction with homemade bolognese and the pasta and this and that. And she serves it, and it was crunchy. It was crunchy pasta. It wasn't al dente. It wasn't like too soft. It was actually crunchy, like a crunchy, I don't know, like a Chinese noodle salad or something. I don't know. So she's totally embarrassed, and I'm like, oh, this is wonderful, but it's crunchy. And we laughed our tails off. So we became friends very quickly. And I've known Julia for 8 years now. And our relationship is that we're parenting partners. We're partners in parenting. We have a tremendous amount of love for each other. We're as close to best friends as you can get. As I mentioned before, my sister's one of my best friends, and Julia is one of my best friends. And we discovered over the course of a little bit of time that ours isn't to be in a romantic relationship with each other. What ours is to do is to be friends, to love each other, to be family, and to raise our daughter to be the most extraordinary human being she can be. And so we've committed to the time our daughter Milagros, at least 18, to live together in the same area. And so after Julia and I, we knew Milagro was going to be with us, Julia moved to Seattle, and that's where we lived together. We've kind of floated around a little bit, but we've been together. We did a stint down in Southern California, North San Diego County, then back to Seattle, and now we're back here, and this is where we're making home. And so we've always committed that we'll be together, whatever the circumstances bring and however it looks, that we're going to be in the same area, living in the same area, but separately. So that's our relationship. And we're at peace with it. It's taken a while. It's been quite a road to actually get to where we are, but we're at peace with it. We love each other. We love our daughter. And I was just talking to a friend of mine who's actually going to be on the show in a couple of weeks. His name's Will Coleman. He's from Atlanta, Dr. Will Coleman. And this guy's a genius. He's extraordinary. I think he speaks 3 or 4 languages: Greek, Hebrew, Arabic, I think, English, maybe Aramaic. He's going to be with me in a couple of weeks to talk about principle and things. But I was talking to him the other night on the phone, and we were just getting caught up. We hadn't talked in a little bit. And I was sharing about my daughter and how proud I am of her and beautiful and this and that. And he said, you know what, Charles, every time you speak to your daughter, you're creating the future. Every time you interact with her, you are literally creating the future. And I sat with that for a moment. I just pondered it and considered it. Literally, that's true. That when we talk to our children, the way that we inform them, and I think this is potent for today as well, and where we are, even with our children or with each other, that when we open our mouths and we give words to something, when we give life to something, we are literally generating the future, because that informs us. It informs my daughter when I talk to her, in the way that, I could either teach her to be afraid of people or to engage with people and create relationship with people and love people. Of course, in safe ways and et cetera, and all that. But I can teach her that the world is a place of adventure and a place of love and a place of beauty. Or I could teach her through my words and our interactions that the world's a place to be afraid of, to cower. I could teach her to be magnificent and brilliant and know her power, or I could teach her to be fearful and hide her light. Literally creating the future. How powerful is that? That's another invitation I have for us today. I'm going to take a drink of water here in just a second, because don't remember the last time I talked this much. And that's why I want your comments too, so I can take a break and look at your comments. What was I about to say? This is what happens in classes sometimes. It seems to be happening more often as well. I'm still a young man too. I'm still a young man. Got to do, there's mental exercises that can be done, right? To keep your train of thought going. Anyway, I suppose what I'm getting to is that the invitation for each one of us can be today, what future do we want to create through the power of our word today? What future do we want to create? So, well, obviously we're living in the present. We're talking about, and this is there's actually a quote from Ernest Holmes, and I think I used it in my sermon about being in the moment. That we're all, and I'll look it up here in a second. Bear with me. This is just what we do, you know. Like I said, we're just hanging out. If we're sitting at the coffee table, you know, this is what I'd be doing anyway. So let's see. Oh, this one doesn't have an index. So yeah, it does. It's just different now. Oh, it doesn't have the concordance. That's what I was thinking. Let's see. So the invitation is, so the idea is that you're in the present. You're obviously speaking the word in this moment. You're speaking it right now, but we're creating the future. We're creating what's next through the power of our word. There's a book written, The Power of Your Word, right? I want to find this quote though. No, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Anyway, it's essentially what we have is, all we have is the now, that God, the principle, the presence, doesn't know anything of past, present, or future. What we're living in is one now. We're simply living in a now. And so even when we say I'm creating the future, we're creating the next now. Futures are semantics. We can get it, you know, if we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but we're simply creating the next now. And that's the power of affirmative prayer as well, gang, right? The power of my word in this moment is creating my next now. It's actually creating a container for the life that I'm living into. You dig that? So when we sit down and do our affirmative prayer, there's only one life. That life is God. That life is my life now. That life is the presence. That life is love. That life is my life now. And because of this union, I now declare that I'm prosperous and wealthy. All of my relationships are beautiful and magnificent. My body's healthy. I'm wildly creative, and creativity flows out of me so easily and effortlessly. These are the types of things that create our next now. We're actually talking ourselves into an awareness of this truth and living into it and creating it. So like parenting my daughters, like one ongoing affirmative prayer, whether it's, you know, she's so into, a comment came up. She's so into, what's it called? Minecraft, where you go build houses and let's see, those are enjoying coffee with you, Reverend Charles. Husband Harold is here. This is Adair, and my friend Yolanda is listening via phone. We really enjoy spending this time with you and the other people we meet through you. Amen. Thank you, Adair. So she's really into Minecraft. So she's like, Daddy, let's Zoom, because she creates Minecraft on her iPad. Daddy, I want to show you the Minecraft I created. And so she's created like this whole city, you know, of houses. And here's your house, Daddy. It's blue. That's your favorite color. And here's Mommy's house. And here's my house. And look at this. You can swim. And here's a trap door. And I'm just like, wow, babe, look how creative you are. And what's this and what's that? That's a prayer. That's an affirmative prayer. I'm affirming her, praising her, right? And that's what we have the power to do with all of the relationships in our life, whether it be loved ones, siblings, children, parents, whatever it might be. Live your life as it's called praying without ceasing. Who was that? Joel Goldsmith that coined that? Praying without ceasing. That your life becomes an affirmative prayer, becomes an affirmation. It becomes the next now that you're creating. What is the next now that you're creating? I'm asking you right now. I want to know what the next now you're creating is. What do we have here? Let's see. I'm doing this on my phone because the camera quality, the picture quality is so much better than my computer. I'm looking into getting a new machine. So I have to go through a couple of taps here on the phone in order to get to what the chat says. Divine Chatter. Let's see. You are so real, Reverend Charles, and so likable and comfortable. And what an advantageous mantle to be able to share science of mind principles and the truth. CSL is lucky to have you. Amen. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Divine Chatter. And I'm blessed to be here. Big time. Just by being here, it's really opened my heart in ways that my heart was closed for a number of years. And I think I've shared that with all of you, that I went through a depression for a solid 3 years. And definitely I had suicidal thoughts. You know, when you lose this, it's like I had a purpose and then the purpose isn't there anymore. And purpose is so fundamental to my existence, and I believe to our existence. Um, Fundamentally, having a purpose, something that wakes you up in the morning to go express, um, something that gets you up in the morning that where you can make a substantive contribution to your life, to the world, to for yourself. Everybody wants to contribute. Everybody wants to be acknowledged. We want to be acknowledged, we want to be seen, and we want to contribute. And that's powerful. And for a while, I lost track of my contribution. I could not locate it. I couldn't find, I was in such a dark place that I couldn't locate my contribution anymore. I didn't feel like what I had to contribute was any value. And that's a scary, scary place to be. And that storm is that's a dark place to be. So like I said, I had definitely had thoughts of, you know what, I came home to have a conversation. I wanted a trip someplace, I think to Florida for a couple of days. And I came home and I shared this with Julio. We just sat down. I said, I am really scared right now. I don't know who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing and this and that. And without a sense of purpose, I just don't know the reason for being a human being anymore. And so she's like, there's two things you need to do. One, go to the doctor, and two, get yourself a counselor. You got to get into some therapy, some counseling, not traditional therapy. So I'm like, you know what? So I did both of those things. I got on some medication and a small dose of something that was really helpful. This is me, gang. This is just me being candid with you. It's what I had to do at the time. And you know what? God made the pill too. Somebody had the inspiration to make the pill, and that's a divine inspiration. It's how we use it. And so I started seeing this guy, not like traditional therapy is like to actually get in there and get to the meat of stuff and like what was holding me back. And so I had to go back and talk about my brother and my mom and, you know, like all the stuff you not to just tell the story, but to dig in there and see what's underneath, the rage that was there underneath there, the shame that was underneath there, all of these things that were there that were just like compounding the fact that I didn't feel like I had any purpose anymore. I lost my joy. And gradually through having conversations, and I was so blessed also just over a year ago to take a 2-week trip to with a small group of men, 4 of us actually, to the Philippines for 2 weeks just to do this work, just to dig in there and do so much writing and so much reflecting and get to the point where you know, we can start to I could start to embrace some of the rage, you know, like use it, see what it was, see why it's there and what it was there for, where it came from, understand what I could dismantle, and then realize what part of that energy, that fire do I want to hold on to that can actually help lead me through life to have the courage to actually just do something like this. I mean, I've shared with you most every time I get on this call, I get nervous, I get anxious because I want to serve you. And so it helped that kind of ferocity, that ferociousness, excuse me, helps me be able to say, you know what, Charles, just sit there and share. What do you have to lose? Just sit there and share with these folks. You know, get to know your community, allow them to get to know you and see the love affair that can come out of that, right? I mean, if we look at the relationships in our lives, what are the most powerful ones? The ones where we have intimacy, the ones where we're willing to share ourselves, the ones where we're willing to listen and be listened to and share of our heart and have it be held in love and understanding. Because what I understand, and the reason I can share some of these things with you, is that life is not rainbows and lollipops and you know, peaches and cream. It's that, and it's suffering sometimes, and it's dark sometimes, and it's confusing sometimes, and it's very difficult sometimes, and I've wanted to die sometimes, and I haven't wanted to be a dad sometimes, and it's extraordinary, and it's beautiful, and I get to sit right here and look out my window and look at those extraordinary mountains with palm trees in the foreground, and I have an amazing daughter who's brilliant and creative and feisty, and I have a partner in parenting who's the most magnificent mom I could have hoped for my child. So it's all of that. It's everything. And I think we can all relate to that, you know, that it's even within our teaching, the whole idea of, you know, as much as we reconcile ourselves then there won't be any challenge, or, it's all good and this and that. And it's just not. That's not what I found. I found it's everything, that life is everything. I know like another comment came in here. Oh, okay. Just from Trey. All right. What am I waxing on about? Oh, here's something else I wanted to show you. Somebody, a side of the family I don't talk about very much. One of the things that if I could go back, that whole conversation, I would have loved to have a much closer relationship with my father. My dad was an awesome, heartful, magnificent, beautiful human being who was deeply troubled and conflicted. He was like, just so much heart and so much love, and it was trapped. I don't know if you can relate to that, but anyway, before my dad, I think the generation, like both of my grandfathers served in the armed forces. So this right here is my dad and his dad. Is that reflecting too much? I see there's a shine there. So this is my dad here, and then his dad is here, and that's them. And I miss my dad every day. He died on October 31st of 2002. I had just gotten, so it'll be 18 years. That is so wild. I had just moved to Los Angeles. I think I'd been working at Agape for 7 days when I got a phone call that said, you need to come home. Your he's likely going to pass away. And I was still spieling. I hadn't lived away from Seattle at that point in 2002. That was home. So this is my first time being away, living away. I was completely overwhelmed with my job. All of a sudden I went into a youth ministry that's got, 300 kids on a Sunday and, 500 families and this and that. And it was my first real ministerial post, and I was freaking out anyway. So again, then I got this message and I was just spinning. And then he passed. I would think I was up in Seattle for about 6-7 days, and he passed. And then I flew back to Los Angeles and just lived with the shock of that sometimes it's still shocking, like, man, you only get one dad, you get one mom. We can choose, other family and things like that. But anyway, that's my dad and my grandpa. I've got another picture of my other grandpa on my mom's side out there. He served in World War II. He actually guarded a bomb shelter in England in World War II. And he used to tell us stories. Grandpa, tell us stories about, what it was like and this and that. And he'd tell us stories about hearing the buzz bombs flying overhead and how much fear, like, God, I hope one of those isn't going to land right on my head. And those types of things. So there's a history in my family of people serving in the military. Not so much in my generation. One of my uncles served in the Air Force, but not so much anymore. All right, now I'm just going off on tangents. Any questions? Any comments? One of the cool things I want to do going forward is from time to time have like surprise guests pop in here. Who knows who they might be? Maybe my mom, maybe my sister, maybe my brother, just to pop on and just share some stories and talk about life. Speaking of my brother, he worked at, if you don't know what this is, Pike Place Fish Market in Seattle, where they throw the fish, world famous Pike Place fish. Well, Justin helped make it world famous. My brother's name's Justin. And he was the lifeblood of that place. He worked there for 33 years and then retired. And he just turned 48. So he started working there when he was 12. And it's been 3 years. So yeah, 3 years, if that math is right, since he retired. But so he's big. Part of their thing was, okay, we want to be world famous. And they were intentional about becoming world famous. They sat down as a crew and said, we intend to become world famous as a shop. And so they started coming up with these ideas and these things, throwing the fish, having the call and response. Here, want king salmon, and then and everybody else would say, want king salmon, blah, blah. And then they throw the fish. And imagine 300 people creating like this amphitheater around the fish bench, like in the height of summer, maybe even more. And it's just packed in there. And the guys are yelling out, here comes a fish, throwing. They throw it, it's like 30-foot throw, 25-foot throw. And everybody else is just call and response and this and that. And the crowd's just going, ah. And it's like it's an event. Maybe some of you have been there. If you've been there, weigh in and say you've experienced that. It really is an experience. People go there just to watch the show. one of their challenges was, we want people to buy more people buy more fish. Okay, we're entertaining in this and that, and we get it. But we don't have a tip bucket out, and you're not paying for the show, so buy some fish. And it was just, sometimes I would go down there. I'd actually walk from my house in West Seattle. I would walk downtown to the fish market, probably, I don't know, 8 miles or so, maybe longer. And I'd walk down there just to take a long walk, clear my head, get downtown, and just get a sandwich and just sit there and watch them do their thing. And here's what I would love to do. And this is what I love about classes that we teach and environments that we create at Center for Spiritual Living Palm Desert as well, is seeing people's eyes light up with joy because of what they're witnessing. Seeing individuals fully in the moment, creating an atmosphere of love and joy and harmony and togetherness and community. And you have people, not so much right now, obviously, people just standing this close together just to watch the show, to watch them throw the fish, and just to see their eyes light up, see little kids' eyes just like, wow, what am I watching right now? This isn't a sporting event. I'm not in an arena. I'm at the Pike Place Public Market, downtown Seattle. And how much joy that brought to my life, just watching that, and to thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people over time watching that. Plus, through growing up for as long as I can remember, since I was, I guess, 11 years old, 10 years old, having a pipeline of fresh seafood coming through our house. I mean, 4th of July's salmon and halibut, crab, Dungeness crab, by the way. King crab's good. It gets a little sweet for me too much, but Dungeness crab, oh my God. Prawns, oysters, goodness gracious. Oh, that's what's up. What else do I want to show you? What time is it? Is it 10:40 or so? What else do I want to share with you? Any questions? Any comments? Anybody been to Pike Place Market? Is this segment going to fall flat on its face? I hope not, because next Friday we're going to do some other fun stuff. And like I said, I'm going to bring some special guests on, tell some more stories. Oh man, I've got stories about one other thing. I love to travel, big time love to travel. And I've got some crazy stories about traveling that I'm going to save actually for next week, because I want to, keep you coming back. Let's see the comment come up. I think so. We've seen the videos of Pike Place. Yep. Yeah, it's a special place. It's pretty cool. So since my brother retired, he and his wife now live in Bozeman, Montana. And I've yet to visit, but from what I see, it's absolutely extraordinarily beautiful. Love the honesty. Thank you, Confident Creation. Yep. If we're not honest, I mean, what are we? If we're not ourselves, then I guess what's the point? I stopped putting on I stopped putting on a face as a minister. I think that's one of the things I learned out of my dark years of the soul, is if we can't be ourselves, then what are we doing? If we can't, use all the experiences of our lives and be able to talk about them, then it's kind of, to me, it's like a bankrupt life. And it is, it's vulnerable. It's a little bit scary. Let's see. The power of your word. Yes, Divine Chatter. Yes, I've been to Pike Place. Very exciting. One of a kind. Absolutely. Been there. Wonderful. Here we go. Intelligent creature. Isn't it wonderful? It's just, yeah, it's a special place to be. So next week, stay tuned. Did I throw fish? Well, I worked okay. So I worked there so my brother worked there for 33 years. I worked there for 3 months, and then I got canned. I got fired. They used to call me Buzzard, and I'll tell you why. So I started there. My brother started there when he was 13. I think I was 13 or 14 maybe when I started working there. It was the thing, it was like maybe become a family thing. But they call me Buzzard because I was 13, 14 years old. I was out front working the like over by the smoked salmon area and the front bench. And if it got quiet or there wasn't a whole lot going on, I would just kind of stand there and space out and just kind of look off into the distance and daydream. So they started calling me Buzzard. Like I would just stand there like a buzz. So, and everybody there's got a nickname. So mine became Buzz or Buzzard. Just stand there like a buzzard, just spacing off, looking at stuff. So the manager at the time, I got a number of warnings that, I need to be active, bringing in, hey, who wants to buy some fish? Here we go. All the call and response and the things people do. The workers there to, hey, want to take, smoked salmon sample, whatever you do to bring customers in toward. And that just wasn't my forte at that time. My forte, I guess, was being the buzzard. And so after a couple months and many warnings, one day, canned right in the middle of the shift. Go home. You're done. So that was the extent. 3 months is how long I worked there. But yes, I've thrown plenty of fish. And every time we go down there, when it's open, whenever, when things are open for business, family comes into town or whatever, we always go down there. Nieces and nephews, we get them behind the counter to catch fish. That's like, people love that. To try and catch, fish are slimy. To try and catch one of those slimy suckers coming from 25 feet away, it's a kick in the pants. So yeah, that's I had a very short career as a fishmonger. I was destined for the ministry, and what they're doing is absolutely a ministry, 100% a ministry, bringing joy and inspiration to people's lives. And then I'll just wrap up with that for today, unless other questions or comments come in. We minister wherever we are, just like I talked about creating the future or living into the future. We minister. You and I today, right now, minister in some way. Let's take dogma out of it. Let's take religion out of it. It's simply bringing our love, bringing our joy, bringing ourself to life. And I know that you're inspired. I am when I see somebody doing their thing and they're in it. Could be whatever they're doing, jogging, walking with confidence, at the grocery store, whatever. Performing, a sporting event, singing, painting, whatever. I see it. I love being inspired by somebody when they're living their life, when they're going for it, when they're confident in who they are and they're bringing themselves. That's how we lift each other up right now, gang. This is absolutely how we can lift each other up right now, is to simply, and I know there's a lot to be anxious about, but there's also a lot to be in love about. There's a lot to be in joy about. There's a lot to appreciate and be grateful for. That's ministry. If you find yourself in a situation today where somebody's just really down in the dumps and they're fearful and anxious and oh my God, the world's such a dark place and et cetera, just take a deep breath and say, you know what? I'm also aware that there's so much I'm grateful for right now. What do you think? Let's think of a couple things we can be grateful for. I had breakfast this morning. I've got water coming out of my faucet. Whatever it is, right? Gratitude. Take a deep breath and be grateful and allow your life to be a ministry today. Ministry is simply giving ourselves away in service to a greater good. That's what we're up to. Game. One last comment. Let's see. Thanks for sharing. You are welcome. Very welcome. All right, beautiful people. It's Friday. We're going to keep mixing this up. Next Friday, I'm going to have some other things in store to share with you. Sasha says peace out too. Like I said, I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. Sasha, give him a peace. What do we do? Peace. Much love. Tomorrow we've got a meditation at 10. We've got our Sunday service coming out. It's going to be a wonderful service on Sunday. And then we roll into the next couple of weeks. I'm so excited about some of the people that I'll be interviewing and sharing with you, the community, some friends of mine. Reverend Arlene Hilton from Los Angeles will be with me. My friend Catherine Economo, she's a minister as well in Temecula. She's one of my very dear friends. She'll be with me on Thursday to talk about life and love and what she's up to. And she's got a fascinating story as well in her path. And then rolling in, and then, we've got Jafan and the Sensational Six. And then we're rolling into the following week where I've got my brother Jamie Lula will be back for a concert and conversation. Dr. Will Coleman will be with me. And then we're just going to keep rolling on through the summer and making it a beautiful thing. And then I'll be with you every Friday, just running solo. But again, maybe with some special guests that pop up. So have a magnificent day. Continue to invite you to share your financial good with the center as we continue to do what we do in such powerful ways. We had a board meeting yesterday. There's a lot going on. Where the building may be closed mostly, but what we're up to is powerful and strong. And I'm so grateful for you, community, to share your financial good with us, that we continue to bring this programming and do all the things that we do and have the center be so strong when we open back up, in such a strong position that we're better than we've ever been as a community as a whole. So I hope today's been fun for you. It's been fun for me. I hope I don't think about it too much and go, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. but I won't. I'm just going to keep on moving on. So I hope it's been a fun ride for you. Like I said, we're going to bring in some surprises and have some fun every Friday, talk principle, do the thing, and live life. So have a magnificent weekend. Much love, much peace. Charles Hall, we're out of here. God bless you.